Hello and welcome everyone to another episode. Yay! So, yeah, I've been working on the Minmus base a lot, and yeah, the only thing I really gotta mention to you guys, because of last episode, you guys really don't know how much time it really took me to set up that entire base. That took a lot of time, and I also have been working on it. I ended up moving the entire solar array on the base. I ended up moving it from basically one side to the other, and I ended up setting up a little bit of the pathing and stuff as far as how the connection pieces are going to go out and everything else. But yeah, that was a bit of a process. That's all I'm gonna say. I really think it looks awesome, but at the same time, it took me a very insane amount of time to actually set up, even during the video. But then afterwards, I ended up doing a lot more, and I probably spent about a good 3 hours kind of messing with things and learning a lot of new things about the crane and the base as well. And basically, oh, we gotta get rid of these. There we go. Perfect. I ended up basically figuring out a lot of different stuff about the base. Mostly that the crane in the base, if the crane has some kind of an error or a problem, I basically can't even save. So the setup is a little finicky where if things don't go exactly right, then I have to basically start from the beginning. And if there's any error with a crane where basically it comes down to, on the last episode right at the end, if you guys remember, I had a little bit of an explosion with the crane, and I don't know what it was. Basically, I guess a part like clipped through another part, and then, you know, it just exploded or whatever. But basically, the game doesn't like that. And somebody also mentioned as well that I should relabel the winches as, you know, left, right, and center, or left, right, and top, or whatever. I had that I ended up naming it when I first landed that crane down, but I ended up sending another crane, and basically in between episodes I had to send a completely different crane all the way to the surface because there was a major problem with the crane. One of the center winch on the crane was not working. There was nothing I could do to fix it, and it was just, no matter what I did, I searched the forums, I did a few searches. Basically, the rope on the winch would basically just dangle there, and if it had any free slack in it once it was disconnected, that free slack would just kind of basically just dangle there. It wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't respond to any kind, like if I released more rope, it wouldn't respond to that. If I retracted it, it wouldn't make any difference no matter what I did. So I had to basically get rid of that crane and launch a new one. Now, some of you might notice, and it really isn't anything that big, at least yet, I ended up putting in the enhanced navball mod, which, if for those of you who want to get it, every one of my mods that I'm using is in the description. I don't know if it's actually currently running. It looks like it is, so I'm not complaining, at least yet. I've yet to truly figure out how this navball mod works. This is basically the first time me using it, but overall it looks like it seems like it's pretty good. So it looks like we had a failure, but I am not going to cancel just yet. I think this will be controllable. Basically, our main rocket engine here has basically decoupled from the main craft, but I feel like I still have a very good amount of control. I'm just watching it right now because I want to make sure. I'm not going to cancel it just yet because of the fact that this stage here has a lot of fuel in it, but it shouldn't be enough to get us all the way into orbit. And plus, this isn't really at the point where it's really going to be affected, at least right now. So the one thing I did not put on this thing, which I should have, is a lot more struts, but that is always something that is always an issue. There we go. We just got to make sure that nothing crazy happens here, but it looks like everything's looking good. Really, really good. Even though our orbit is going to be really crazy, I can nose down a little bit here and probably make up for some of that. Ooh, oh, there we go. We're getting some problems. Yeah, so, you know, that's the one thing I never really do, is sometimes I'll always neglect putting enough struts on my designs, and, you know, who could complain about having not enough space tape? But I guess that would be me. Let's see. I'll turn off the RCS here. Whoa, what's going on here? Alright, it looks like we have achieved orbits. We lost our broken stage. We actually got to use our broken stage, which is amazing, because I didn't think that was actually going to work. But let's see. I will do that, I guess. Why is this missing fuel? Okay, so what I ended up doing too is, you'll notice on this landing stage here that these are connected on the outside, but the engines are on the inside. So what I ended up doing is basically just having all the engines grouped together so we can use all of the engines, because of the fact I just want to get there very quickly. So that should help out. Now, I'm going to be relaunching the Moon Mapper. I don't know the sat map if it's even working anymore, to be honest, because I was messing around with it a little bit, and I ended up trying to scan the moon. I ended up launching another probe to the moon, and I tried to actually map it, and we had errors. So let's see. Alright, what this navball mod should be doing is ghosting, which apparently it looks like it's ghosting right now. So you guys can see on the navball right now, I'm not actually on the part of the navball where you can actually see where that node is, but as soon as you get close enough to it, that's when it basically just disappears. But everything on the navball itself is basically ghosted at a certain level, so you know where everything is located. So that it seems like it's a pretty good mod. I mean, it does help somebody. I kind of generally always know what direction to align to, but it will definitely be helpful to somebody who is at least a little bit new to the game, probably doesn't understand all the concepts of everything that needs to be done as far as playing the game. But that seems like it's a fairly decent mod here. So I have started this burn a little too late, which I'm not going to complain about, but I think we should be able to fix this. So yeah, I'm basically just using 4 engines instead of using just this one main engine. And what I'll end up doing is, as we get closer to Minmus, we'll probably be in a sped up portion, but I'll probably just put all the extra fuel in here because of the fact that we will be using landing stage fuel to get there. So we can just kind of make up for that. And I did bring some RCS with us. We don't have a very large amount, but I usually don't want to bring a ton. Actually, we do have a pretty big amount. I usually don't like to bring a ton of RCS with us because it really is kind of extra weight that you don't need. It's usually always that case. You usually end up bringing way more RCS than you actually ever need. Always. Let's see. Alright. That's looking pretty good. Now, I don't know what this triangle is here exactly. I guess that's indicating something, but I'm very unsure of to what that something is. So let's get over here. I'm just going to kind of fix up this node just a little bit because we're not perfectly lined up. So yeah, a lot of new people recently. I have been surprised just as to how many people have actually been watching and liking my modded series. So definitely, you know, let me know the one thing I really want to know is kind of like, you know, where you heard about me and stuff like that. I've always been kind of, you know, because sometimes I'll see very large spikes in subscribers, and then I always wonder, like, is it because somebody referred me or somebody said, hey, go watch this guy's channel? Because number one, if somebody's going to say, hey, go watch this guy's channel, I want to at least do the decency and recommend them back so everyone else knows. So that's the other thing too, is like I have the featured person of the week at the end of my video, even though it hasn't changed for a while, because of the fact that I usually take it by recommendations, and also if I find anybody's channel that I find somewhat interesting, at least as far as what they're doing with the game. Oh god, there we go. Come on, come on. I don't know what just happened, but we broke something. Well, I shouldn't even say that. It's not really breaking something. We just, our node isn't right. So apparently, I guess these are marked to indicate what your inclination is, at least at the moment. I'm not 100% sure, but that is where I'm gonna go with, and I think it's right. There we go. That's fine right there. We're at 0, 0. That's 100% fine. But yeah, if you guys definitely heard about me from somebody on YouTube, you know, feel free to let me know, and I'll definitely contact that person and say, hey, you know, this person has referred me, or somebody, or not this person has referred me, but my subscribers told me that you featured me in a video or something like that, or even go as far as sending me the video of the person referring me, because then I'll definitely make an effort to refer them back, and so everyone else. So we're all on the same page, and everything's just amazing. So, but at the same time, too, is if you guys know of anybody who you think should have more subscribers or should be featured or anything like that, definitely, you know, leave either a comment, send me a message, or something along the lines of that, and, you know, I'll definitely get around to putting them in the featured persons of the week, because I always like to promote other channels because of the fact that it's a very scarce thing to actually encounter a channel that tells you to go watch other people's stuff. It is kind of a commonly accepted thing that some people just don't feel the need to do these kinds of things, but I find it to be 100%, like a 100% necessary in many ways, because of the fact that we all learn from each other. So that is the main thing. You guys will watch something I do and then go and fire up your game and then try to do what I did, whether it be modded or unmodded, or even in career mode. And it's the same thing with Scott Manley and with Kurt J. Mack, Solar Gamer, you know, whoever, White Owl, I believe his name is, HOC Gaming. You guys all watch that stuff because not only do you like it, you want to actually do it too. Or, you know, maybe you don't have a computer to do it. But that's the way I see it, at least, you know, and I always want to make sure that everybody gets a fair amount of credit, and, you know, I would like to feature people that like what they do. So I think I should start up my burn here, since we're a little bit past, oh no. No, we're pretty good. So, let's see. I think it's 1 minute and 45 seconds. Yes, that seems right. Now, hopefully nothing bad happens to this thing. I am fairly confident that we have basically squared away everything. I do got some lights on this thing I think I should have showed you guys, but I don't have any, like, super high-powered lights on it. I do plan on putting some better lights on the station, on the base here and there, but I haven't really been so concerned with that. I mean, I have been putting on like small exterior lights just for detail here and there, so that has been working out pretty well. So anyways, guys, I'll see you once we are in our landing sequence. And we're back, guys. Yeah, so I had a little bit of problems transferring fuel over, but everything's looking pretty good. Well, let's get ourselves down to the surface. Now you can see with this navball mod, you know, it does do a little bit of ghosting. It looks pretty cool, to be honest, because, I mean, it does give you some somewhat useful information, considering a lot of mods don't. But one of the mods I was really I thought would be really cool to have. I was just thinking about this while I was transferring over all that fuel that you guys were during the sped up portion. Would be a mod that would somehow, in some way, transfer over fuel very evenly amongst the craft, so you didn't have to worry about constantly moving fuel over and making sure everything was perfect. But alright, it looks like this stage is spent, so I'll get rid of that. Don't really need that anymore, just dead weight. We really didn't lose out on much RCS either. I was going to do an RCS transfer as well, but I don't really generally care so much for RCS fuel as far as conserving and saving it, because a lot of times you generally don't really use all the RCS that you bring. So I was talking about that before, but yeah, definitely, I really have been appreciating all the new people on the channel and everyone coming in. I've been just unbelievably happy that I have been growing very, very much over these last few, even though I haven't been doing as much videos and having as much activity as I did previously. So I've still been appreciating all the comments, and everybody who leaves a comment, I always try to respond back, even if it is like a day or two later. I usually end up just trying to do my best as far as responding and just about everything else. But, you know, there's always something that comes up, so I always try my best to respond back. So if I didn't respond back to you, I'm sorry. Either there was some kind of a problem or what have you. So let's see, it looks like we're about the same distance roughly from the rover and the base, but this shouldn't be so much of a problem. This landing stage is a little overpowered, kind of like my last landing stage, but at the same time, I'm not too concerned with fuel, at least at the moment. We did bring a lot, so let's see. I just didn't want to bleed off all that speed like I just did there, but whatever, because we're going to end up just gaining it back again here in a second. So bring this over. There we go. Perfect. So we need to definitely head in this direction, like a lot in this direction. Just try to get the prograde here just above the line. That way we don't have to worry about everything, but I don't want to put on too much speed here because it's going to get a little excessive, considering I think like orbital speed at this altitude isn't very high. I think it's like maybe a few hundred meters a second, so don't really want to go anywhere too far past that. So let's just bump this over. Come on. So I'm hoping that the crane still works. The one thing I will mention is definitely if the crane's not working, I'll probably have to relaunch a new crane and then bring it here so then we can attach all these things. But yeah, no, I just been having a lot of problems with the crane overall in general. Basically it destroying itself mostly. The base itself really hasn't had any problems. It's more of just the crane itself. And so I think I should just emphasize that the crane does work very, very well, and it does exactly its intended purpose very, very well. But the only problem is that it has a tendency to destroy itself. So if anyone is going to build the same design, definitely look into something that will try, you know, at least it won't destroy itself while you're using it, because that would be kind of the most optimal thing. I would say so, right? The solar panels did get broken off of it, and I'm not too concerned with that, but it did kind of raise some problems because of the fact that now with the solar panels broken off, it still has a source of power with the thermal generators, but with all the magnets on when it has the magnets on and it's moving at the same time with SAS on, it does draw a significant amount of power, and if the battery gets drained, it will basically get stuck in an infinite loop where you cannot, it has zero power. One of the magnets will always be on, and you can't do anything to turn it off again, not unless if I actually connected up another module to it or something that would have some kind of way to produce power. So hopefully the base doesn't explode. I do think that everything is fairly well connected, but who knows at this point. Sometimes I just get surprises all the time. Kind of like the crane just breaking all the time. But yeah, I've launched a couple of those cranes already, at least one crane, as far as I can remember for right now, just to replace the crane at the base, because it has destroyed itself. Now it looks like we are behind the base for right now, which I kind of want to be behind the base. It's kind of the best real estate as far as when it comes down to building, so just cancel off the speed here, and I'm going to start using the RCS just to kind of push us down a little bit faster. So we don't really need the RCS until we get fairly close to the surface. Alright, that's looking really good. And plus this will help us bleed off some of the RCS fuel as well. We don't really need it for anything, so. And I'm not really concerned with fuel, once again. You know, we do have these 3 big tanks, the center tank, and these tanks. So there's no way I think we'll run out of fuel, at least right now. I mean, I don't think there's any possible way. So let's see, this base is just coming along so nicely. That's the only thing I really gotta say, is it's just, every freaking time I come to this place, it's such a hard thing to do as far as building these bases, but once it really starts coming together, that's when it starts getting, it goes from being kind of a pain in the butt to being kind of awesome looking. So we'll go this way a little bit. Yeah, we need to go over a little bit more. Yeah, this way. Oh, not that way, not that way, not that way. Yeah, I was trying to aim over this direction. Yeah, that's where I wanted to go. Oh, God. Oh, God. I think we're okay. I was kind of overreacting. Just a little bit. Come on. Now, I did end up getting rid of a lot of stuff, too. There was a lot of, like, just debris on the surface, and that stuff I ended up basically deleting. There was a lot of just junk sitting around. There we go. Looking amazing. There we go. Come down ever so nicely. Now, I think we're going to be kind of close to these connectors. I'm not sure, these connecting pieces, and I'm trying to line this thing up and it's not doing it. Come on. But it's cool though. We kind of lost a lot of little stupid unnecessary parts and stuff like that. There was a lot of junk over here on the surface behind this base that really basically had no purpose in being here. Now there is one mod too that I was questioning as far as adding, and once again, if you guys have like a mod that you want to see me mess around with, definitely let me know. I mean, there's a few mods that people have been suggesting that I've said, okay, well, I'll take a look at it, and I just haven't done it just yet, but I plan on doing it. So please, once again, I'm not neglecting or not saying that I'm not going to use the mod that you've been suggesting. I just have been trying to make sure that, number one, all our progress that we have, I'm trying to make sure that we can at least have and keep what progress we make, and I've just been making sure that no other real problems will arise. So that's kind of where it all lies, is I don't want to download a mod or install a mod where there's a possibility that we lose everything or anything like that. I do kind of keep a persistence file and all that other stuff basically spare, and, you know, to make sure that if anything bad does happen, that we basically can keep everything. But, you know, there's always things that happen. So, you know, people's hard drives can fail. So I've always been kind of cautious about that, where I keep a flash drive with certain files on it and stuff like that. So, yeah. It looks like we got a fairly decent parking spot here. But yeah, you guys can see the crane. I mean, you guys can see there's no solar panels on it. I don't really need to switch over. At least I don't think so just yet. But yeah, Jebidiah has been doing a lot of work on the base. It looks like we are missing a magnet. But if I'm not mistaken, we should have a spare magnet in here somewhere, because I did bring extra magnets with me. We have no extra magnets. So yeah, I'm gonna send a new one, and yeah, it's gonna take me a little bit to get it here, but it should be alright. But yeah, we'll definitely get a new one of these guys on the surface so we can keep on building here. But yeah, so I'll cover this a little bit. Basically what these things are going to do is they're basically just gonna be on the surface, just kind of like how they are right now, but just connected to the base. And what I will be doing is I will be landing a fuel tank on top of here. So a fuel tank will basically just be sky craned in and landed right on top of these specific docking port pieces here. So there's 9 of them total. I don't know how many tanks I'll actually end up putting on the surface, but I know the keythane, I don't really know the overall transfer between keythane and everything, so I don't know if 1 unit of keythane equals how much fuel. So I'll probably bring down a decent amount of orange tanks, empty ones, maybe 3 or 2, and, you know, maybe 1 RCS tank. And I'm gonna try to work on something to create some kind of a RCS, or not RCS, but a Xenon collection somehow. I don't know, but something with Xenon and how to store it or something, because I do know that Xenon is can be produced as well. So overall, this landing was pretty good. And yeah, so I'm gonna get a new crane here, and I'm just going to start on construction as soon as the crane gets on the surface. So I'll see you guys once we are at near completion. And we got them all connected, guys. It's looking amazing now. I really have to say, this thing is looking freaking awesome. So, the thing I should clarify right now is that these will not be used for, like, landing or anything like that. I mean, sort of used for landing, but what will be landing on top of these is fuel tanks. Now, I'm kind of guessing, and I'm not really sure right now, but I think I might end up doing 1 or 2 kethane tanks, and then basically having the rest set up as fuel tanks. These look a little bit off too, which I'm probably, after this video is done, going to kind of just move these around a little bit, try to get them a little bit more stable than what they already are, because it doesn't really look so good right now. But yeah, so I'm thinking, I know I need at least 1 RCS tank, and I'm going to add a xenon, a large xenon tank to this, but right now this is kind of as far as it's going to go. But what I'm going to do is, for our next episode, we're going to start landing some fuel tanks down and start setting up the fuel storage, RCS and xenon storage. I'm even thinking about possibly putting a helium storage on here, but once again, I would also need to put argon as well, which it's a part of another mod, which I kind of am not really that concerned with, like, actually putting the stuff from that portion of the mod into this base, because we really can't refine it or create any of it on the surface. So it really serves almost no purpose. So yeah, guys, this is looking freaking awesome. So I should quick save, because, you know, I don't want to lose all this stuff. I might end up adding maybe 1 or 2 more of these, but I thought 3 would be sufficient. 9 tanks getting sent to Minmus is already going to be way too much. But what I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably going to get a few tanks into orbit. Once those few tanks are into orbit, I'm going to shoot an episode where I just drop down the tanks onto the base, one after the other, and we'll go from there. So, anyways, guys, if you like what you see here, subscribe. There's always more to come. To all you new people, welcome. And yeah, I will see you next time.